like to call this meeting of the Clay County Commission to order. We will begin with our invocation. Administrator, when you are prepared, please proceed.
Please join us in an attitude of prayer. God in heaven, thank you for this opportunity to come together and work together. We ask for inspiration and insight, direction and guidance, and peace and harmony. May we accomplish great things this day, and may we display an attitude of cooperation and respect. We ask for comfort and strength for the families, friends, and co-workers of the fallen and injured Joplin police officers involved in yesterday's confrontation. Amen.
Thank you. This evening, the pledge will be led by Noah Dipp. He is a Life Scout with Troop 1288 in Gladstone, Missouri, and he is here this evening in furtherance of achieving his merit badge for citizenship in the community. With that, Noah, if you'd like to come forward, make sure the light is green on the microphone, and we will, and you can lead us in the pledge. If everyone would please stand.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Nolte.
Here.
Commissioner Thompson.
Here.
Commissioner Carpenter.
Here.
That brings us to approval of the agenda. Is there a motion related to the approval of this evening's agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
Motion's been made for the approval of today's agenda, this evening's agenda. Is there, are there any additions, deletions, or any other changes to our agenda? Are there any comments or anything else on the agenda? Seeing none, you're recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Thompson.
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter.
Yes.
That brings us to meeting schedule. Administrator?
Yes, the next scheduled meeting of the commission is Wednesday, March 23rd for a work session here in the chambers.
Thank you. That brings us to honorary resolutions. I believe we have an honorary resolution related to our bicentennial. So if the people would like to come forward who are going to be working that for us. And yes, good. The microphone is on. So proceed whenever you're ready. And please make sure to identify yourself so that the audio recordings will pick up.
Thank you very much. For the record, I'm Katie Steele Danner, and I serve as the chair of the Clay County Bicentennial Commission. I'm joined this evening by Terry Welk, who is also a member of the Clay County Bicentennial Commission and chaired our kickoff event that was held a couple of weeks ago here in Liberty, and also has been working to promote our mascot, Clay. Please welcome Clay to the podium as well. He'll be very silent during this presentation. We were honored to have a resolution offered from members of the Missouri House of Representatives, and due to inclement weather that evening, they weren't able to actually present it in person. And because of your meeting schedule and their meeting schedule, we thought it would be good to just present it to the commission this evening on behalf of Representatives Maggie Nurnberg, Randy Railsback, Josh Herbert, Chris Brown, Mark Ellebrocht, Wes Rogers, and Doug Ritchie, congratulating Clay County on celebrating 200 years. Congratulations.
That's very kind. By the way, I understand there is a photo contest related to the mascot. Could you, as long as you've got the floor, if you could give us a little information on that.
So the photo contest is going to be announced soon. We will be encouraging individuals to take clay, either the small sort of fan-sized clay or the larger clay that Terry has, on events around Clay County. Maybe Clay gets a date to prom. Maybe Clay'd like to enjoy a nice day on Smithville Lake. Maybe even be in the Snake Saturday Parade this weekend. Just grab some pictures, create some enthusiasm to celebrate the bicentennial, and then we'll be sharing information about how to upload your photographs and get into the competition and hopefully be a prize winner.
Commissioner Thompson, did you have any comments or questions?
No questions, but I think this has all been a great kickoff, and I was there that evening.
Yes.
And it was wonderful, and I love our little mascot, and I think we're on a good start to our 200th year. So thank you for all your work.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Oh, just same thing. The mascot looks great, and I hope it is a big success and goes viral and gets a lot of attention for Clay County as we celebrate the bicentennial. And thanks again for your leadership, both
Well,
of you.
I don't think anything will preclude the three of you from entering the contest, so.
Very good. Good to know.
There you go, okay? And thank you, of course, Commissioner, to your creative, artistic contribution to Clay. We appreciate it very much. Thank you for using your talents.
We will take a moment and we will get a photograph of you presenting the plaque. Also, by way of setting example, we will get a picture with Clay up there as well so that we can
Great.
kind of encourage others to go forth and do likewise.
That sounds great.
And then after that, we will bring up our Life Scout Dip, and we'll get some photos with him as well. And then we will pick up our agenda where we have paused. So with that, we will go forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. We were just saying that to see younger people taking an interest in government and seriously making their place in the world of civic responsibility. So thank you very much for being here. Discussion items, we have none, excuse me, listed this evening. There are no public hearings. We have our consent agenda. Is there a motion related to this evening's consent agenda?
Commissioner, I move that we approve the consent agenda as printed.
Motion has been made for the approval of the consent agenda. Are there any comments or questions? Seeing none, you're recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes?
That brings us to our regular agenda. First on our regular agenda is 2022-68. Administrator, when you are prepared, please proceed.
Yes, Resolution 2022-68 is a request for a waiver of interest and penalties on property tax for Ms. Barbara Woods in the amount of $453.43 Ms. Woods was present at last week's workshop and provided information to the commission, along with Collector Barbara O'Reilly, which I believe both are here this evening if the commissioners have additional questions.
Would the applicant care to make comment? Was the applicant here? Oh, okay. In that case, if the collector would like to make any comments or any, okay. Are there any questions or comments from the commission?
I don't have any, thank you.
No questions, thank you.
In that case, is there a motion related to 2022-68? And I would remind the maker of any motion that to include the checking of either the approves or denies box on the particular resolution. Is there a resolution related to this issue, or a motion related to this resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve 2022-68 as approved.
Motion has been made for the approval of 2022-68 with the box marked approves checked. Any further discussion?
No, thank you.
You're recognized to close.
I close?
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Thompson,
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter,
Yes.
Motion has passed. That brings us to 2022-72. Administrator?
Yes, Resolution 2022-72 is a request for consideration to renew the county's property and casualty insurance. This is an annual process. The recommendation is to renew with Travelers. This covers 12 different lines of coverage of insurance for the county, anywhere from property to auto to cyber liability insurance, along with workers' comp and many others. The total request for premium approval is $2,230,615. At last week's workshop, the county's insurance broker was here and presented information to the commissioner. Tonight, we also have our risk mitigation specialist, Christine Poles, is here to provide some additional information to the commissioners to answer some questions that came up last week, specifically about the increase in general liability and workers' comp.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. Christine Pulse, Risk Manager for Clay County. As stated, Josh Gary was here last week to talk to us about the renewal, and there were some questions that came up that we wanted to provide you with additional information. The first thing we wanted to cover was general liability. The rate calculation for that mostly looks at claims and losses as well as expenditures in our budget. While the number of claims last year did decrease overall, the renewal is not based on just 1 year's data. It is a rolling average. Slips, trips, and falls are still our #1 claim category. And even though claims were down overall, we did have an increase last year in the number of EEOC claims that were filed, but those can be matched back to prior leadership. In addition to claims and losses, Travelers also looks at the county's expenditures as well as our budget. That did go up from last year, and when I talked to the auditor's office, they said that the increase was due in part by rescue plan dollars, the assistance, the rental assistance program, the runway grant for the airport, and this increase in our budget and expenditures has an increase in expenditure dollars, exposure dollars. The second item we wanted to address was the reported increase of 100 employees. We went back and looked at the information from last year's renewal, and there was an error. And once that was corrected, there was only a net increase of 1 employee, not 100. So with that in mind, the third item we wanted to talk about is the work comp policy. Because work comp is figured by payroll and classification code, the total number of employees is not a factor. Additionally, to have a better picture of what the work comp premium, we need to look not only at the preliminary rate that is set at the renewal, we also need to look at the work audit that's performed in June, the June timeframe, because what we do is a true-up. At the time of renewal, we provide Travelers payroll report that's backdated. At that time, Travelers sets a preliminary rate based on that backdated report. In the June timeframe, Travelers will reach out to us and they'll do a work comp audit. The work comp audit looks at what was reported at renewal to current payroll. And upon completion of the Travelers audit, they will issue a premium adjustment, which could be a credit in some years, and other years it's an amount due. So what we did to give you a better idea of work compensation as a whole for the year is we took what the preliminary rate was set, which was initially provided to you in the matrix that was in with the resolution, and then we also added to it the work comp audit. So what you see down there in the bottom row is the actual amount that we pay for our work comp premium. With that information, are there any questions?
Are there any questions from the commission?
Thanks, Commissioner. So first of all, just thank you for the updated information and for helping to clarify, some of the questions from last week. Really grateful. I guess my only question is if, under the analysis, not just of our broker, but of staff here with the county, if you all feel confident that these increases are justifiable by travelers, and if it's your recommendation that we move forward with them.
It is, thank you.
It is. Thank you.
Commissioner Thompson?
No additional questions, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, it's obviously things do go up, but I mean, that is unfortunately the world we live in. I noticed that there was a particular jump between 21 and 22. That was much more than previous increases, at least in that particular category of workers' comp. But the recommendation of staff is then that we adopt this.
Yes, it is.
Very well. Is there any motion related to 2022-72?
Commissioner, I move that we approve 2022-72.
Motion has been made for the approval of 2022-72. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please, you're recognized to close.
Thank you. I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes?
That brings us to 2022-53. Administrator?
Yes, Resolution 2022-53 is the approval of an invoice with Answer Kansas City. This is a service that has been provided by this vendor for the collector's office. During our peak tax season, they provide phone answering service and general information to callers, which does help with the caseload with our staff. The amount of the invoice is $72,475.93 for the work that was performed. And I believe that Councilor Graham and Collector O'Reilly are here if the commissioners have any questions.
Which would like to speak first of the council?
I'll certainly take a lead on it since it was put onto this agenda and removed from the last agenda by my suggestion. I've worked with Answer Kansas City on this. Looked at the number of calls and got a very specific audit of the work they did. And certainly they did a tremendous amount of work. I think, if I recall, somewhere in the neighborhood of around 13,000 calls. Again, but moving forward, I think what's most important, and I conveyed this to the company, is that we will probably evaluate the right approach this coming year. It may be this type of approach with this type of company. It may be a more moderate approach, some sort of limited usage. It may be hiring part-time folks to do this. So I think this is something we should certainly address moving forward.
My understanding is, particularly I think it came up at last week when we initially brought this issue up, and that was that the people employed by this service who answer these calls, it's obviously a lot more than just an answering service, but they indeed have training and a considerable amount of expertise on this particular issue and are able to actually answer questions in an authoritative manner.
That is correct. They do train them on Missouri collection law, and it's very helpful, to be honest. But again, it's a sizable number to deal with a sizable problem that is going to happen every year for about 2 months. And again, I think it's certainly something we ought to look at going forward.
Are there any questions from the commissioners?
No questions, thank you.
No, thanks.
Are there any more comments? Seeing none, is there a resolution related to 2022-53?
I'll make a motion to approve 2022-53.
Motion has been made for the approval of 2022-53. Any further discussion? Seeing none, you are recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes?
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
That brings us to 2022-70. Administrator?
Yes, Resolution 2022-70 is a request for the utilization of American Rescue Plan Act funding for a stormwater project in the Oak Brook Subdivision. This is requested by our Highway Department. The request is an amount not to exceed of $40,486, and Deputy County Administrator Carl Walters is here to present information.
Please proceed.
Good evening, Commissioners. Carl Walters, Deputy County Administrator. I brought forth to you at work session to talk to you about stormwater ARPA request funds for the Oak Brook subdivision that was established in 2006. And it was a ribbon-type flat curb that was brought into the county to see if we could take the stormwater and build rain gardens onto the homeowners' properties to take on the stormwater rather than letting it go down into the storm drains and into the creek to slow some of the erosion and stuff down. In that time of 2006 up until about a year ago, it has been that slow growth of the subdivision, and so some of that silt and stuff, instead of being controlled and having the rain gardens put where they need to be to catch the stormwater, and then having the sidewalks built below the flat curb, then the water and the silt was actually going down to the storm drains that were established for our part of it to keep some of it controlled. So what's taken place is some of it has been caught and puddling out into the streets, which is causing us a problem. So, and then one of them has plugged up the CMP pipe, and then we have erosion that's eroding from the boxes that we have there, plus onto between a homeowner's area that needs to be controlled and have some riprap in there so the erosion will stop so it doesn't work back into our road. So we have got an on-call contractor that came out and looked at it, told us what he could do with each one of them, and turn around and repair these as long as we could do it under some funding.
My understanding is there's documentation attached to our packet that these have been certified as qualified under Arpa funding by our county auditor.
Correct. And just to let you know that the other phase that is in, and they're working on it, the Highway Department and the P&Z have turned around, and we've made efforts to make sure that the sidewalk is below the flat curb and that the rain gardens could be in place so that we can turn around and control that other part of it with the rain gardens.
Very good. Are there any questions or comments from the commission?
No questions, thank you.
No, just thanks to Carl.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Administrator. Is
Thank
there
you.
any more comment on this issue? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion related to 2022-70.
Commissioner, I move that we approve 2022-70.
Motion has been made for the approval of 2022-70. Any further discussion? Seeing none, you're recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
That brings us to our final issue on to this evening's regular agenda. That would be 2022-73. Administrator?
Yes, Resolution 2022-73 is consideration of approving a software maintenance renewal contract with Syntex Systems. This is requested by our Information Technology Department on behalf of the system that operates and works with our fuel pumps. And I believe IT Manager Kevin Shaw is here to answer any questions.
Please proceed.
Good evening, Commissioners. Kevin Shaw, IT Director, Clay County. We bring before you now this renewal contract to approve the contract with Syntex Systems. They're the software company that makes Fuel Master. That is the fuel management software system at the highway pumps.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments?
No, thank you.
No questions, thank you.
Are there any further comments on this issue? Very well. Is there a motion related to 2022-73?
I'll make a motion to approve 2022-73.
Motion's been made for approval of 2022-73. Any further discussion?
Thanks.
Seeing none, you are recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Thank you. That brings us to the conclusion of our regular agenda this evening. That brings us to comments on non-agenda items. Are there any members of the public who would like to comment on any items not covered under this evening's agenda? Seeing none, are there any office holders or agencies who would care to make any comment related to issues not on this evening's agenda? Seeing none. County Administrator, do you have any comments you'd like to make at this time?
Just briefly, we want to thank the county commissioners for supporting our participation in the statewide tornado drill that took place yesterday. We had great participation by county employees across our organization. Our safety team met today and did a recap and sort of did an after action. Certainly lessons learned on how we can improve and share information with our employees so we can keep them safe and they can go home to their families at night. So we appreciate your support on that. And of course, the second item that I think is on everybody's mind is the storm forecast starting tonight and tomorrow. So our highway department is busy preparing for that, along with our facilities group. The court has made the decision they are closed tomorrow, and that information has gone out. There is a very likely good chance that administrative offices will be closed tomorrow. We'll make that decision very early in the morning, and we will post that on our website, our Facebook page, and also let the news outlet know if the administrative offices are closed tomorrow. And with that, I have nothing else. Thank you.
Are there any comments from the commissioners? Commissioner Thompson?
I have no comments, thank you.
Commissioner Carpenter?
I do not, thank you.
The only one I can think of is just to certainly urge citizens to take due caution in travel. If they must travel tomorrow, please be very cautious. That brings us to approval of minutes of previous sessions. I don't believe there are any listed this evening. Written reports?
Yes, we have one. I emailed you all a copy of it last week, and I also think you have a paper copy in front of you. It's the Auditor's Cash Basis Monthly Report for February.
And it
That's
would
the only one.
appear the commission has each individually received that report.
Yes.
Are there any other written reports to be submitted to the commission at this time? Seeing none. There are no executive sessions scheduled for this evening. That brings us to adjournment. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Take care of that. We're good.
Since we're